Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I will be talking about the best books I've read so far this year. I was gonna maybe do the mid-year freak out book tag. However, I just don't feel like I have enough books to do that tag, and I would be repeating a lot of answers, and I just feel like that's kind of boring. So I thought I would just do this video. I also did this video I think last year, and I just kind of enjoyed talking about the books that have stood out to me so far in the year. So since the beginning of the year, I have read 36 books. 8 of them were rereads, and so far I've also had 3 DNFs, which is all right. I mean, it's not horrible, but I have, been DNFing things, which I'm pretty proud of myself for because I'm not a big DNFer. I also have listened to 2 audiobooks. I feel like it's been kind of a slow start to my reading year. I feel like later on in the year I'm going to read a lot more. I have more reading vlogs planned and stuff like that, so hopefully I will read more in the second half of the year. But I mean, 36 books is not bad. I'm not saying that it's bad. I just feel like I could have read more. I definitely had time to read more, so I am disappointed a little bit by the number, but I'm still happy I read 36 books. So this is obviously from January to June. I'm not including any other books that I've so far read in July. And so far I have had 7 books that have stood out to me. I think for this list, I'm just gonna go in order of when I read them, not necessarily where I have them ranked, just because I feel like that'll be a fun surprise at the end of the year to see if any of these make the final top 10 or what their final ranking will be. I am also probably going to have to reference my reading journal because I definitely don't remember everything that I read at the beginning of the year, so I will need to be reading off my reading journal, which I love this thing. It is so helpful, especially for these type of videos or when I'm doing bi-monthly wrap-ups. It's just super helpful. I'm so glad I bought this little easy reading journal. So my first favorite of the year so far is Good as Gold by Sarina Bowen. This is the first book in the Guiltmaker series, and this one I gave 4 out of 5 stars. This follows childhood friends Layla and Mateo, who haven't seen each other in 14 years, but Mateo is back home for his brother's wedding, where he runs into Layla, who is recently divorced and ready to have a child on her own, and drunkenly asks Mateo to be the father. Will he accept, and will they finally confess their feelings for each other? I really loved this book. I thought it was very emotional. I cried a lot while reading it. I honestly need a physical copy of this. I should really buy one. I read this on my Kindle. It was actually the first book I read in 2024, and I just loved it. I felt so connected to the characters. I really felt their connection and their love for each other, and I loved seeing like the small flashbacks to their past, like 14 years ago, and kind of their childhood. I love how it was a slow build in their relationship. They slowly fell in love. It definitely was heavy on the friends to lovers. There was also a great small town aspect and found family, second chance. Overall, it was just a really great book, and I highly, highly recommend this one. My next favorite is The Fake Mate by Lana Ferguson. This I gave 4 out of 5 stars. This follows doctors and werewolves Mackenzie and Noah, who decide to be fake mates to get Mackenzie's grandmother off her case about settling down, and after Noah's status as an alpha threatens his job. This is my beautiful Fairy Loot edition. I'm obsessed with it. I just had to show off this edition. I do have the original paperback, but I love this edition. I thought this was a fantastic paranormal romance. I loved the whole werewolf aspect. I don't read a lot of werewolf romances, but whenever I do, I just enjoy them, and I forget how much I enjoy them until I'm reading them. I loved how like werewolves are open and it's like a known thing in the world. They're not like hidden. It's like humans and people are very aware of werewolves, and there's like other werewolves in the town. Noah and Mackenzie work at the same hospital, so that's how they meet each other. I feel like the plot was very minimal in here. It was just kind of about Noah and Mackenzie slowly falling in love, but also like trying to hide that they're fake dating, but like they are fake dating, and it was nice to see them both slowly fall in love with each other. I just wasn't like super obsessed with the characters, but I loved the overall setting and the vibe and the story itself, if that makes sense. I feel like if I reread this, I probably will love it more. Also, it was very steamy. There was a lot of sex scenes. It was kind of reminiscent of like Ali Hazelwood in the way that like, you know, the male character is like secretly in love with the female character, but like she doesn't know it. That is very much in this book, which I enjoyed. And yeah, I definitely want to reread it because I feel like I will love it even more if I reread it, but it's definitely a favorite of the year so far. Then we have another paranormal romance to add to my list, and that is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This I gave 3.5 out of 5 stars. Misery Lark, daughter of a powerful vampire councilman, has been called upon to uphold an alliance between the vampires and the Wares by marrying Were-Elfa Lo. Both withholding secrets from each other, Misery has a very specific and mysterious reason as to why she agreed to marry Lo. This was really fun and entertaining, but I didn't fully love it. There is just something about Ali Hazelwood's characters or like her stories that I'm not completely sold on. Like I'm almost there, but I'm not fully committed to loving her books yet. I liked the romance aspect. I liked how slow burn the romance was. I think I just didn't love the mystery element and like the other plots going on. I wish it was more romance focused and romance heavy. I do think the entire concept for the werewolves and the vampires and how it works in this world was very interesting and definitely a different concept than I've seen before. I wish the epilogue was a little bit longer, but overall, I enjoyed the book. It was fun. This is also another book that I could see myself rereading in the future and really enjoying even more. So yeah, I liked it. I thought it was fun. And I hope that Ali Hazelwood continues to write some paranormal romance. Then we have Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage. This is the second book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series, and this I gave 4 out of 5 stars. Ada Hart is in Meadowlark to work on an interior design project for a bed and breakfast at Rebel Blue Ranch, but her first night there, she has an intense interaction with a handsome cowboy who turns out to be her new boss, Weston Ryder. I really loved this. It was super sweet, super fast-paced. Obviously, it's very short, so there isn't like a lot of substance to this story or the characters, but I just enjoy how simple and easy and like it's kind of a comfort read, if that makes sense. It's a slow burn romance and Wes falls first. He is head over heels over Ada from the minute he meets her, and she is just kind of skittish, but she slowly warms up to Wes and the whole friend group and the whole family, and she eventually finds like her found family. And I think that's what I love about this series is it just feels very cozy and very like low risk. I just feel very comfortable with this series and I'm really loving it, even though it is very simple and very short and to the point, but sometimes I just need a book like that. And this series so far has been that for me. I loved the ranch, farm, small town vibes. It reminds me a lot of my childhood. It was just a great read, and I'm very excited to read the next one in the series. The next book I have on my list is Butcher and Blackbird by Brynne Weaver. This is the first book in the Ruinous Love trilogy, and this I gave 4 out of 5 stars. Two serial killers, Sloane and Rowan, meet by chance and decide to create a friendly game of catching other serial killers to see who can kill them first. The more they run into each other while competing, the more they realize how similar they are to each other and how there might be more to their friendly game. I actually read this for a reading vlog, so I will link that video down below if you want to know more of my thoughts on this book, but I really enjoyed this. It was action-packed, it was thrilling, it was exciting. I could not stop reading it. I just needed to know what happened. I love how Rowan was in love with Sloane the minute he met her, and he did all these things just to get her attention. There was a plot twist towards the end that I did not see coming at all. This book is definitely kind of gory, but it's also really funny. I really liked Sloane's development as a character. I definitely felt like she grew in the 4 years that this book took place. I do wish we got a little bit more of her past and like her childhood, but overall I really enjoyed this book. It was fun, it was entertaining, and I don't think I've ever read a funny dark romance. So this was just great. Then we have Chain of Thorns by Cassandra Clare. This is the third and final book in the Last Hours trilogy, and this I gave 4 out of 5 stars. This is obviously the third book, so I can't really say too much about it, but I am so happy and proud of myself that I read the entire trilogy this year. I finally finished it, and I did also listen to probably a good maybe 70% on audiobook, and then I physically read the rest of it, but I was just kind of listening to the audiobook off and on when I was cleaning or like doing stuff, and then I would read it when I got a minute to sit down. I really enjoyed the audiobook. I thought it was fantastic, and I just really enjoyed this last book. It was action-packed. There was a lot going on. There were a lot of tears. I was crying a lot in this book. There was a lot of dramatic things that happened, and it made me very emotional. A lot of the characters had some beautiful happy endings, which I really loved. And it was great to just be back with like Will, Tessa, and Jem, and Magnus, and see the Lightwoods and all of the characters from the Infernal Devices series. This is probably my least favorite Shadowhunter series, but I'm still really happy that I read it and that I was along for this journey, and I got to see a lot of the past characters, and I got to see certain characters be parents and stuff, and that was great. It was a great conclusion to the trilogy, and I'm very happy that I finally read it. And then the last book that I have is actually currently my only 5-star read of the year so far, and that is Ready or Not by Kara Bastone. Or Kara? I think it's Kara Bastone. A surprise pregnancy leads to even more life-changing revelations in this heartfelt, slow burn friends to lovers romance, a found family, and unexpected love. I would say in general, there isn't a lot to this book. It is simply about Eve, who finds out that she's pregnant, and she now has to figure out her life and how she's going to raise a child, getting to know the father because it was a one-night stand. And she's also dealing with her friend who is having infertility issues, and suddenly her best friend's brother is there, and she's kind of getting closer to him, and it's just a very beautiful, beautiful book. I cried while reading this, especially like towards the end. I just really loved Eve. I thought she was a fantastic heroine. I really loved to see her development throughout this book. I thought that she truly grew as a character. I love all the heartfelt conversations that she had with all the people in her life, and then other people that she met along the way of this pregnancy journey. I loved Shep. Shep was just such a wonderful hero. He was so kind and just so patient, and he was just there for Eve whenever she needed help. And whenever she needed him, he was just there, and he just had such a big heart. I really liked Ethan. I grew to love him. He was very unsure about like being a parent at first, and he wasn't like really sure on how to co-parent, and I loved to see his journey as well. I thought that the characters just all had amazing growth throughout the story, and I love how the beginning of this book, it's not really romance heavy. Like the romance stuff kind of comes more towards like maybe 200 pages in. Actually, no, maybe like more 150 pages in onwards. Then it gets a lot more romance heavy. I feel like the beginning you're just kind of with Eve on this journey of her figuring out how to tell people what to do, all of that stuff. And then we slowly get into the romance aspect, which I just thought was perfect for this book. It made complete sense, and I loved the way that the author decided to do that. I also loved Eve's odd relationship with her brothers. I loved how that developed as well. I loved the love confessions between Eve and Shep. I just thought that was beautiful. It was just such a wonderful story. I loved it so much. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I did vlog me reading this, so I will link that video down below if you want to see my initial feelings on it. So those are all 7 books that so far have stood out to me this year. Let me know if you have read any of the books that I talked about and what you think about them, or let me know what books have stood out to you so far this year. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, follow me on all my other social media, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.